Have they ever told you the raw truth about life after 80? Entering your 80s brings with it a silent change that few talk about. Not the superficial things like birthdays or slower mornings, but the deep, often unspoken changes. It's a period rich in both wisdom and loss, presence and distance, deep peace and sometimes profound loneliness. I'm Dr. Balsano, specialized in aging medicine and men's health for over 20 years. And today I want to share with you 5 difficult but essential truths about life after 80. If you're not prepared for these changes, they can catch you by surprise, leaving you wondering why no one ever told me this. In this article, we'll explore these truths not to frighten or depress you, but to offer you clarity. When you see these things coming, you're no longer at their mercy. You can prepare and face them with strength instead of surprise. We'll talk about social circles that narrow, the body that no longer recovers like it used to, the growing dependence that feels uncomfortable even when necessary, the silent way society begins to ignore you, and that strange pain that appears when old regrets meet too much time and too little purpose. Even though some of these truths may seem heavy, they also open the door to something powerful: acceptance, resilience, and the possibility of shaping the final stretch of life with that dignity that only you can define. First truth: a social circle that silently disappears. One of the first realities that hits after 80 isn't physical, but relational. The people who once filled your world begin to fade, often without warning. Friends pass away, neighbors move, siblings become silent. Even longtime companions who called every week start calling every few months. It's not personal, it's just time, but it leaves a space that can feel empty. No matter how strong or independent you are, you wake up one morning and realize the phone doesn't ring like it used to. Invitations slow down, family visits become shorter and more hurried. People still love you, but they're busy or distracted. They're dealing with their own aging in different ways. And slowly, the daily interactions that once kept your life rich with voices and laughter begin to thin out. No one prepares you for this. In your 60s and even 70s, most people are still around. There's energy, movement, check-ins, but after 80, there's a shift. You start outliving people, you start outlasting conversations. I knew a man named Giorgio, 84 years old, who went to the same cafe every morning for years. The staff knew his order. His friends would meet him there without texting first. It was a ritual, but over time, as those friends stopped coming. Some died, some moved away, others simply stopped driving. One day, Giorgio told me, "It's strange to walk into a place where everyone knew your name, and now you're just the man at the corner table." The pain of that kind of loneliness isn't always loud. It doesn't always come with tears or visible grief. Sometimes it's just a long silence after dinner, or a walk that feels a bit too quiet. It's realizing that the list of people who really know you is getting shorter and you can't stop it. But knowing this reality means you can do something about it. You can open new doors even when others have closed. You can stay connected on your terms, whether through a parish group, a weekly lunch, a phone call you make, or even a letter. After 80, connection doesn't come to you like it used to. You have to go get it, and that takes courage. But you've made it this far. You already have that courage inside you. Second truth: a body that stops recovering. When you reach 80, your body no longer whispers, it speaks clearly. The little aches that came and went now persist. The fatigue that once passed after a nap might extend to the next day. The truth that catches many people by surprise is this: after 80, even small health problems can change your life overnight. You might wake up feeling fine, go about your day, and by evening, something's wrong. A bit of dizziness, an aching leg, a cough that lasts longer than expected, and suddenly you're sitting in a waiting room hearing words like monitoring, tests, or possible hospitalization. What once resolved with rest now requires medical attention, and often you never go back to how things were before. According to geriatric studies, after 80, the recovery time from illnesses or injuries can increase by 50 to 70% compared to previous decades. I knew a woman named Maria, 81 years old, who was alert, active, and proud of her independence. She loved tending her home garden, walking in the neighborhood, staying busy with her book club. But after a small fall while pruning a rose, everything changed. It wasn't the injury itself, but what followed. Weeks of rest turned into months of reduced strength. Her confidence wavered. "I thought I was just taking a break," she said, "but my body treated it like a permanent stop." This is the part no one tells you. At 80, rest isn't always regenerating in the same way. It can turn into decline if you're not careful. And sometimes, even when you are careful, your body decides to slow down anyway. You realize you're not bouncing back, you're adapting forward. But here's the strength in knowing this. You start honoring your energy more wisely. You learn to pace yourself, not out of fear, but out of respect for what your body has carried you through. You treat health not as a guarantee, but as a daily practice, a sacred practice. Third truth, a growing need for help. One of the bitterest pills to swallow after 80 is this. You start needing help with things you did without thinking. It doesn't happen all at once. It creeps in silently, subtly, until one day you notice you avoid high shelves. Grip the handrail a little tighter. Hesitate before getting behind the wheel on a rainy day. Even though part of you still feels capable, another part knows that some things aren't as easy anymore. What makes this reality difficult isn't just the physical change, it's the emotional one. For those who have lived decades taking care of others, the thought of becoming the one who needs help can feel deeply uncomfortable. I knew a man named Antonio, 85 years old, who prided himself on doing everything alone. He had lived through war, raised 4 children, built his shed in the backyard with nothing but scrap wood and determination. But one winter, he slipped on the icy driveway. No broken bones, just wounded pride. He didn't tell anyone, but his daughter noticed something was different. She started showing up once a week to bring groceries and stay for coffee. At first, Antonio resisted. "I'm fine," he'd say. But over time, that coffee became a ritual, and eventually he admitted something that surprised even him. It's nice not having to carry everything alone. That's the shift. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. Knowing that accepting help isn't a loss of independence, it's a way to protect it. When you allow someone to help you up the stairs or drive to the doctor, or carry that heavy bag, you're actually giving yourself more years to do what matters most. After 80, the most courageous thing you might say could simply be, "I could use a hand." The older you get, the more strength you show by choosing safety over pride, peace over struggle, and connection over isolation. Fourth truth, a presence the world begins to ignore. One of the most painful realities of life after 80 isn't about your body or your memory, it's about your presence. Slowly you start feeling invisible, not to the people who love you maybe, but to the world in general. The cashier looks past you to the person behind you. The doctor talks to your adult child instead of you. The waiter at the restaurant assumes you can't hear or think and decides for you. It's subtle at first, then becomes more frequent. I remember a woman named Elena, 86 years old, who volunteered at a local museum. One day, a visitor asked the staff a question she could have answered with her eyes closed. After all, she had lived through that very decade of history, but the question completely bypassed her. When I asked her how she felt, she simply smiled and said, "I'm used to it." But there was sadness in that smile, the kind that comes from being seen as furniture instead of fire. But you're not furniture or background. You're still here. You're still thinking. You're still contributing. And just because the world sometimes forgets doesn't mean you have to. So what can you do? Speak anyway, ask questions, offer your opinions, vote, share your stories, even when no one asks. Stand up, even if your knees wobble, because every time you claim your space in the room, you remind the world and yourself that you're not done yet. You're not invisible. You're a living library, a witness to time, a voice that still matters. Fifth truth, a sense of regret if purpose isn't redefined. As you advance deeper into your 80s, a strange quiet settles in, not just in your house or your schedule, but inside you. Life slows down, the calendar isn't so full, and with that slowness comes space. Space to reflect, remember, rethink. This can be beautiful, but if you're not careful, it can turn into something heavy, not the loud and dramatic kind, but the silent kind. The "I wish I had spent more time with them" kind, The why didn't I take that chance when I had it? Kind. I knew a man named Roberto, 88 years old. He had been a teacher for over 40 years. After retirement, he felt proud, but also strangely empty. "No one needs me anymore," he said once. But it wasn't true. He just hadn't found a new way to be needed yet. Purpose doesn't retire, it changes form. Maybe you're not building houses anymore, but you're building confidence in your great-grandchildren with your stories. Maybe you're not leading meetings anymore, but you're leading with presence when someone is suffering. Maybe you're not solving big problems anymore, but you're solving loneliness with a smile to a neighbor. The danger of regret isn't that you made mistakes, we all have. It's that you sit with them too long without transforming them into something meaningful. But when you redefine purpose not as productivity, but as presence, you start realizing you still have so much to give. The most important work you'll do after 80 might not be for legacy or applause. It might be this: waking up with kindness in your heart, curiosity in your eyes, and enough courage to ask, how can I bring light today, even if just a little? This isn't regret, this is redemption, and it's never too late to find it. Reaching 80 is no small thing. It's a milestone built on decades of love, loss, effort, change, and resilience. But with that strength come new challenges, some subtle, others hard to ignore. Which of these 5 realities struck you most? Was it the silence that comes when your social world starts narrowing? The frustration of a body that doesn't recover like before? The discomfort of needing help when you've spent a lifetime being the one who helps? Or maybe it was the feeling of invisibility that comes when the world moves too fast to see you? Or the pain that grows when your purpose is no longer clear? Whatever it was, I hope you felt seen, because the truth is, you're not alone in any of these things. Not in slowing down, not in forgetting, not in the questions that keep you awake at night, or the moments that make you wonder what comes next. And here's the good news. Even now, even at this stage, you can choose. You can choose connection, you can choose rest, you can choose to ask for help, you can choose to speak louder when someone ignores you, and softer when someone needs your grace. This chapter of life isn't the end. It's the deep part of the story. The part where every word carries weight. The part where small gestures mean more than grand ones ever did. The part where your presence, your patience, and your perspective become your power. Life after 80 isn't just survival. It's the art of living with wisdom, acceptance, and dignity. It's time to embrace what you become and continue growing, even when the world tells you it's too late. If this video was helpful to you, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Share your thoughts in the comments. We're curious to know what you think. Have a good day.